Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be predicting AEW All Out 2023. This show has been getting some pretty mixed reactions online, to say the least. I will say that AEW is known to have insanely good pay-per-views no matter what the card looks like, and with how good some of these matches look, I have faith this is going to be another one of those moments. So without wasting any time, let's jump into the predictions. Better Than You Bebe versus Dark Order. We're going to start with this match because, no disrespect, I think it's the easiest to predict. Dark Order did win the Battle Royal on Rampage to get this match, and while I didn't expect that result, I do think that the current, more heelish Dark Order can have a really good match with the most over act in the company. This is a fantastic opportunity for Silver and Reynolds that they absolutely have to make the most of. I've enjoyed a lot of their work, but I really think that they have to take it to that next level here and show the fans why they deserve to be in this spot. I think there's a good chance they do just that, but they're going to have to do it in a losing effort because MJF and Cole got to move on to the kingdom, I'm afraid. Eddie Kingston and Katsuyori Shibata versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. This match is for the people who enjoy real graps, a real hooper match if I've ever seen one. Eddie and Shibata on a team is already cool enough, but then you throw Claudio in here and there's your story right there. My long-term prediction is that Eddie faces Claudio at Grand Slam for the ROH World title, and for that to happen, one of two things has to happen here. The first option, Eddie pins Claudio and demands a world title match, or number two, Claudio cheats to win and kind of screws over Eddie, which inevitably leads to the match at Grand Slam, and I'm personally going to lean with the first option. I know it feels a little wild to say that Claudio takes another pin so soon after just taking the one at Stadium Stampede at All In, but I think it's the perfect way to build this story of Claudio getting more and more aggressive as the self-doubt creeps in, so he's the ultimate heel going into New York to face Eddie, where Eddie just kind of shuts his ass down in front of his own hometown crowd. I get that this might come across as me just wanting that match really bad because I love Eddie Kingston so much and I feel like he really deserves that moment, but it does feel like a real possibility, and after all, this is fantasy booking, so give me Eddie and Shibata to win. There's only one way that you can describe this match. Here it is.
Big meaty man slapping meat.
That's all it is. It's probably going to be physical, it's going to be hard hitting, and I'm probably going to love every second of it. Hobbs himself is in an alright place right now. The whole TNT title situation really kind of fucked him over, but I think this is a really good opportunity for him to show people who he is. Miro hasn't been doing much of anything since he's come back, so this is also his opportunity to show people who he is, and I think he wins doing just that. What either man does after this is yet to be determined, but like, it's a Haas fight, it's gonna slap, and I hope both men show why they deserve to have real matches and not just those shitty squashes you see on TV all the time. Might as well move on from the first Haas fight to the next. This is again.
Big meaty man slapping meat.
I don't really have much to say about this match just because I don't really know much about Shane Taylor, but what I do know is that he's a big fucking truck, and Samoa Joe is not going to be able to do what he did versus CM Punk at All In, so he's going to kind of be forced to change his style up, which should be really fun to see. Even though I don't have much to say, even though there isn't much analysis you could really do because Joe is pretty easily going to win, I do think this is going to be enjoyable because it's just a Haas fight, and that's always fun to watch. This is where we're going to have to talk about Athena potentially not being on the show, which would be absolutely absurd considering that nearly every other ROH champ is on this card. Rumor has it that they hope Billy Starks can get cleared so they can have a match. The only problem with that match is that they're planning on it being on 0 hour. This continuous disrespect of Athena by TK is honestly just fucking absurd because she's probably the best talent you have in your entire two women's divisions right now. And the thing is, she might not even have the match because they're risking her opponent not being cleared for the match, which is the biggest joke I've ever heard. Like, you're trying to tell me that you can't bring in one Joshi talent. You can't bring in someone like Riho or Yuka Sakazaki. You can't bring one high-level woman from Impact. You can't have Emi Sakura have a match or some shit. Like, I'd honestly take anyone because Athena is that good. She could have a great match with any woman in the world right now, I think. I'm honestly just done with this shit. This really pisses me off, and I'm not one of those grifters who like complains about women's wrestling because they want to complain about AEW. I genuinely want to see these women like get time to shine and have moments on these cards, and you're telling me you're only going to give them 2 matches on 8 hours of pay-per-view viewing? That's the biggest joke I've ever heard. That's a fucking disgrace, and TK should be fucking ashamed of himself for that shit. Let's just I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Let's just fucking move on. If this is the one women's match, I'm glad that it's these two. Statlander is one of the very best, and she's finally getting a pay-per-view match to like show it against Ruby, who is also very good consistently. I'm all good, sign me up for it. Stat is one of my absolute favorite women's wrestlers because of her power offense. She's so good at just getting her shit in and making it look really good, which stands out a lot compared to the other women on the roster. And Ruby is a fantastic seller, so I think that our main ingredients complement each other so well that if these women are just given 15 to 20 minutes to cook, they could fucking cook. Might as well mention the build. It was lackluster because of course it was. This match was just seemingly thrown together a few weeks ago, but yeah, it happens for the men, but it absolutely happens almost every time for the women. It sucks, but it's just what it is. I think that these two women can overcome that, though. They're both really good performers. They're both really skilled in ring. Like I said, if they're given enough time, if they're given like enough space on this card, they could really make magic. And I'm really excited for this match. These are two of my favorite women to watch, and yeah, I think they can have a banger here. For the winner, I'm going to go with Statlander pretty easily because she's having a great run and I'm really looking forward to what she does next. But yeah, please give these women some time. They fucking deserve it, man. Moving right along, let's just talk about this insanely stacked 8-man tag. I'm kind of surprised it's not a 10-man tag because obviously Bullet Club Gold have Cardblade and he really deserved a spot in this card because he's the real draw in AEW. But this should still be really good. Anyone saying that this match in particular is just thrown together is just being annoying. There's a lot of interwoven stories between FTR and the Bucks, FTR and Jay White and Juice Robinson, the Bucks and Bullet Club. Like, come on, guys. But as always, we're gonna, for the most part, ignore those people and focus on how much fun this is gonna be, especially with Bullet Club Gold involvement. This group is just so entertaining. They are so much fun. I love their skits on social media. I love their promos on Dynamite and Collision. Their matches are so good. They're probably my favorite act in AEW at the moment. And during this match, while they're having a shit ton of fun, I imagine, I wonder how the FTR and Bucks are going to get along. I personally hope it's really poorly, because a Bucks heel turn is what dreams are made of. But if it happens here, if it happens at all, I really don't want just the standard Bucks heel run. I want something better, something new and exciting to really just spice this division up. But there's a reason that the Bucks didn't shake FTR's hands on Dynamite before they got interrupted, and it's because the story is going to continue with them, and I think that the Young Bucks are going to win the belts at Grand Slam as heels. You got to move some tickets, and what better way to do it than that? I do think that Bullet Club Gold gets the win here for that reason in particular, and after the fact, when the Bucks do win the championships, because that's going to happen, I'm not predicting it, I'm just spoiling it because obviously I'm all-knowing, I just see into the future, they can move into a program with the Bucks for the titles, which sounds insanely fucking good. Anyways, all that fantasy booking aside, this match has a lot of different directions it could go if it doesn't go the direction that I predict it will. Which makes it just a pretty exciting and standout match on this card, and it's one I'm looking forward to very much. Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin. I really enjoy Christian Cage's current gimmick of cucking Luchasaurus out of his belt, and I want to see how that progresses, but it's Tony Khan, so you can never really rule out a title change. In my personal opinion, I think the right choice is to have the story be built around Darby kind of being worse for wear after that coffin match at All In, and Luchasaurus just kind of destroying him to build him up as his own force and someone that can stand on his own. But again, it's TK, so it could honestly turn into a Darby overcomes all the odds moment. I want to be clear, I love Darby, I would love to see him as champion, but I just really don't think it's his time, and I don't really think he needs the belt right now. Christian Cage's character work has been so good, and there's still so much left in the tank, but you kind of need the championship to make it work, so give me Luchasaurus to retain here. I'm making this video before Collision, but I do think we need to talk about this. Apparently Ricky is going to challenge Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to a strap match for this show, and these two could honestly make that work, but I don't really know about putting a 70-year-old man out there to get whipped a bunch. Like, that just doesn't feel right, dog. It seems more likely that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will send someone out there to accept the match for him, and it's probably not Punk, even though that was the planned match. It's widely reported that it's probably not going to be Punk, but no matter who it is, even if it is Punk, I think that Ricky's going to score the win here. No matter how you feel about Ricky, the guy got screwed out of a pay-per-view main event, so I really hope he gets something cool to make up for it because that really fucking sucks. So I'm excited to see who they throw his way. The most exciting match on the card for most people, Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega, has the potential to be a truly generational match. I know that phrase gets thrown around a lot, but I truly believe that here. Like, these are two amazing talents with some really good offenses that clash together. So I feel like they're just going to have such a stiff war, and it's going to make you really feel like they hate each other, I think. That kind of offense is honestly the only way you're going to get me like to believe that these guys really don't like each other, because this build has just been very lackluster. There's so much history that they could have played off of, but they just like didn't, which is the thing that AEW does quite often, but it's really upsetting that it reared its head here. But like most AEW pay-per-view matches, no matter what the build is like, no matter how shitty it was, the match is most definitely going to deliver, and it's going to make you forget about how shitty it was, to be honest. A big reason I'm looking forward to this match is just how up in the air the winner is. You could realistically go with either guy and it would make a lot of sense. Kenny could score his first big singles win in quite a while and move back towards the main title picture, which myself and most people certainly wouldn't complain about. Or you give Takeshita the biggest rub AEW has to offer, pinning the GOAT, thus propelling him into the main event scene where he has an opportunity to shine. Takeshita pinned Omega with a roll-up at All In, and I think the best way you can follow that up here is to have him pin Omega clean. Some of you might not agree with that assessment, but I think a win over Omega could truly propel him to the top, and I think he has all the potential in the world to really work in that main event spot. He is so incredibly talented, and just to say that he has this win under his belt for the rest of his career is a really big deal. If that is what ends up happening, Takeshita has to have gold within the next year, maybe even the next 6 months, because he's just too damn talented for TK to fuck him up. Like, he's got to be ready to push him to the moon if he gets the pin here. With the state of this card overall, which I don't think is really that bad, but it could definitely use a classic all-timer match, and I honestly have no doubt that this will be just that, with Takeshita getting the win in a moment that should solidify himself as a top guy in this company. Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. We're going to talk about this match last because it absolutely should main event this show, especially after that Orange Cassidy promo on Dynamite. What an absolutely amazing character arc OC has had. The guy that didn't want to fight at all in the beginning now wants to fight so badly. He wants to do it every single week, to the point where he's held together by K-tape and wraps. That's just incredible stuff. There were a few times throughout this reign that I really bought it being over, especially during his feud with Swerve, which at the time I thought they fumbled like a great opportunity, but I think an even greater opportunity has presented itself here. Orange Cassidy is mentally drained. His body is breaking down on him after match that he's had, to the point where he's only been able to win with roll-ups for like the last month and a half. And what better guy is there to capitalize on that than Jon Moxley? Nobody. That's who. And the potential matches that we could see Jon Moxley have in Japan and other global indies sounds like a fucking treat. Mox should then go on a heater run for a few months, which would be great for AEW as a whole. Just Jon Moxley singles matches are always good. And I know people have suggested him to drop the belt to Eddie at Grand Slam or Full Gear, but as I stated earlier in the show, I would like Eddie to win the ROH World title so Mox can be in his own little section to himself. If Orange does somehow squeak out the win, I really wouldn't be mad, because I love Orange Cassidy, but it really does feel like it's come to the natural conclusion of this reign, and I think it should come to a close after a brutal battle where OC is just giving it his all. He's not giving up no matter what, and the ref stops it or something like that. I feel like that would be the most badass way to go out. I've absolutely loved this Orange Cassidy International title reign. The matches have been incredible, but I'm calling a Jon Moxley win here in a match that should justify buying this pay-per-view as a whole for many people, including myself. And with that, that's all the matches that are currently announced for this show, but we're going to go ahead and run down a few that might be announced later on. Saraya currently doesn't have a match, but she really needs one. If she does get one, she will go over. Baker and Shida has also been floated around by people online. If that match happens, I think Shida should get the win. And then finally, if the Athena and Billy Starks match does happen, I think that Athena should get the win, and it should absolutely be on the main card. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. You guys can all point and laugh at me when I get all of these matches wrong, just like I did for the All In card. Oops, my bad. Leave a like down below, comment your predictions, subscribe to the channel if you love pro wrestling, and yeah, much love guys. Peace.